All right, we are here without any further ado. Uh, Everything is working for me today. My earpiece is playing audio. Tim's mic is set up.
It's
We don't
beautiful.
have Jack here today to screw up the stream like he did on the train on Monday. He is at the game, as is Jonathan. I believe Jack is also sitting in the loge tonight, so maybe you will see him. You may be across the arena, you may not be. Uh, Jackin leading us off with a fastball here. No Smart, no Rob for the Celtics tonight. Both are out. I believe both with knee things. Not that it's serious knee things, but they are knee things.
Um, Rob is left knee injury rehabilitation, and then Smart, same thing that we knew before. It's left knee contusion. So doesn't surprise me. Both were questionable. Smart makes most sense just because he's recovering from injury. Rob, you saw him start in the last game, and we should definitely talk about that. But I think overall, I think the cardio is probably just what's getting to him. So I think it's just the conditioning. And that's a great point. I knew that Ingram traveled with the team, but I wasn't sure if he was going to play. I knew Zion was out, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean Zion's been injured for a couple weeks now. I remember the news broke,
You're like
and
tap dancing. I can see it.
me?
Yeah. You're like, oh no, he can't stay
No,
healthy.
I don't know. It was funnier when he was fat. Now it's not really funny.
Now it's just sad.
Like he's not fat anymore, so he's not getting hurt because he's fat. You know, like when he was fat and he wasn't playing because he was fat, it was funny. Because like he's an NBA player, he should be able to play despite not that he should be
Shame.
able to play
Shame on
despite
you.
being fat, but he should certainly not be fat because he's in the NBA, and it looks like they figured that one out for him, and he is now playing for the most part. He's been pretty good this season. When we did our All-Star selections on the pod, I had him as a starter. The Pelicans have been real good. He's been a driving force behind that when he's played, so he deserves some respect there. Um, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think they saw him last time in New Orleans either, so they miss out on Zion this year, barring a finals matchup, which is something to think about.
I mean, he gives them problems, right? Like I think that's probably the biggest problem that the Pelicans have is just in terms of just staying healthy. I think Zion raises the ceiling of that team so much. Same thing with Ingram. And because of that, like when you don't have that kind of player, like the amount of impact that he has when he's on the floor, like he's given the Celtics so many problems in the past evening. And yeah, Birkin, I did see the news literally right before I hopped on. Um, Rest in power to Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck is a pretty legendary musician. Um, I mean, he's worked with Clapton and a ton of other big names. So rest in power, best to his family. That's tough, but long, successful life to him. But in terms of Celtics stuff, though, I think this is a good matchup. I wish both of these teams were full strength, just because
By the end of the year, Tim's gonna be so sick of the fist bumps.
my like left arm is just like my whole shoulder is just gonna be like I gotta like switch it up. I gotta come in with the right, but I just don't want to clip my microphone. I'm just gonna tire out my
Well, yeah,
shoulders.
now it's a dangerous game with the wire.
Yeah, well, I've never had problems with the wire until like if I just touch it like right around the base, it just I'm not gonna mess with it right now because then I have to deal with the whole getting muted. I've only had it happen twice. Once was on air, and that was I think
It's no
last
good.
episode. It's no
Happens to
bueno.
me all the time. I'm a veteran.
I'm gonna get tennis elbow. Next time I just come in like in a sling.
I know, dude. Injuries are scary, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, it's tough with I think Zion too because I don't know, maybe his weight did impact his conditioning to this point. Like he's finally gotten into shape now, but like just years of having too much weight on has just done damage that's forever going to hang out. I mean, right now, I just want to go ahead and pull up the Pelicans injury report one sec
Sure.
just to
Shane in the
have it as
chat says
reference.
both teams at full strength make a great finals series. Probably would. I'm not really in the business of great series. I'm in the business of Celtics winning. So I really get upset when people say, please, 7 games of this, because I prefer that they don't play 7 games and that they win in 4. It's better for my health,
I
better
was going to
for
say
my well being, and
I don't want
my
to have a heart
happiness.
murmur. I don't want to throw a stroke or something. Like,
The playoffs last year were a disaster. Oh,
yeah,
they made it harder on themselves than they had to. I still complain about it any chance I get. Here I am in January.
never recovered.
Have you found the injury report, Tim?
No, I am digging.
Injury reports, by the way, not easy to find.
Not always. No, it's
No,
usually
not
from like a
easy at all.
secondary source.
You,
I'm
I was
I'm going
looking at
back way too far. I gotta
yeah,
like Google this.
I was looking at a Heat injury report for yesterday because they like had nobody playing for him, and I couldn't find any kind of official stuff from the team. Like they didn't have it all in one place. As much as I hate seeing the Celtics tweet out the injury report, at least they do it all together. Miami sends separate tweets. Unbelievable. I was trying to put together an article and I was trying to figure out everyone that was out. We've got the starting lineups. I'm going to put them in the chat because that's what Jack does.
No more logic.
Who said no more logic? Oh, I know it's Sam. No more logic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you say you look like Logic with the glasses and the hat.
Oh,
I
I
can see
do.
it. I
I
can see
do.
it.
I just, look different today. One of these days, we're going to do the many faces of me. Jack and
Yeah.
I have been working on that. Perhaps for a stream in March Madness, we'll do a bracket of all the different faces of me, and we will have the chat vote.
States of Sam.
States of Sam. I have old screenshots from old pods. I'm sitting here talking,
Hey, Jimmy
filibustering, and I'm
J.
not typing anything in the chat.
Yeah, you're right, Jack, and it was officially announced by the team too. I checked the injury report, so definitely kudos for everybody putting that in the chat.
Well, that's very kind.
That's flattering. So I did find this is a report back from the 7th, so about 4 days ago, and it does have Ingram as well as Zion listed on here. Hamstring strain for Zion, so that's what's been hampering him so far. And then it's a toe contusion for Brandon Ingram, but he is traveling on the trip with the team. We do have our starting 5. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I don't know about you, but I feel like if they're trying to add size and they don't think that Rob's health is there yet, or if they do want to start Rob and then have Horford come off the bench and like give him relief in spurts, I think that they should consider putting Grant at that 4 spot if they're trying to add size and have some 3-point shooting still with a little bit of defensive versatility.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the go-to lineup with the personnel that are missing today. They're no-brainer. Both White and Grant Williams are spot starters for the Celtics throughout, when Rob hasn't started. So you're missing Smart. Obviously, those two are going to be the starters. Now, should the Celtics lose today, I will be far from thrilled because as I type out these starters in the chat, I only recognize 2 of the names. McCollum and Valanciunas. The rest of them, I couldn't pick them out of a lineup, which may be shame on me, Sammy Casual over here. But, I mean, Trey Murphy. Oh, I have to go back.
I know that
Najee
name.
Marshall, Dyson Daniels are the other 3.
No, Najee Marshall. But again, I know names. Like I know names of players, but I don't necessarily I wouldn't be able to, like you said, pick them out of a lineup for certain teams. I mean, to be fair, I think the Pelicans are a perfect example of a young team that's building up. So they are going to have a lot of players who aren't established yet. Like that's kind of just like a given. And it's kind of impressive. I will give them that. The fact is that they are doing pretty well for themselves. Right now, they're sitting at 3rd in the conference with a really strong record of 25-16. And like we talked about earlier with these injuries, the fact that they're able to go out there and put up that kind of record still when they have guys going in and out of the lineup is like really, really impressive. And it's testament for the way that they've built that team. Like they've done a really good job building that roster out. I will give them a ton of credit for that.
Yeah, the Pelicans have taken a jump after last year, right? They took Phoenix to 6 games in the first round with Booker missing a little bit of time in that series. They made it out of the play-in before that to get to the playoffs. I believe they were in the bottom 2 of the play-in tournament, so they had to win twice to get in, if I'm not mistaken. As far as this year, they've built on it. Zion's come back for them and has been a good piece, which is good for them. Lupe says, hope Jack is fine. Jack is at the game. He is more than fine. He will be back
He's doing
tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Jack, whose girlfriend is sitting like behind or close to the bench, and then he's like way far back with the dad. Now they know each other, so this isn't like a like Bad Boys when the guy goes.
What
to
are
the
your
door.
intentions?
Yeah, it's not that. They're good for them. See, Jack's dad is here, but Jack is not here, and we owe Dennis some fist bumps too. I saw him earlier. Andrew says Celtics have won 7 of 9. This is true. And I'll tell you what, I only remember 2 of them. The
Yeah.
losses.
But we're at that point, right? Like, this is the issue. Like, everyone's got short-term memory when it comes down to it. It doesn't feel like, Andrew, I'm honestly going to say, like, look, I stay up and I work these games and everything. I work post games. I write down post game press conference quotes and everything. It sometimes you kind of get caught up in everything when the highs and the lows, and you just kind of forget like the performances sometimes when you look at it. Like, genuinely surprising to say like they've won 7 of 9, and that helps keep things in perspective, right? Because those losses, they sting. And 2
Oh,
of those
yeah.
losses, I mean, one of those was to a really good team with Denver, and then the other one is that really painful loss to OKC. And that Denver one, they shot poorly, and then in that OKC game, they just flat out stunk it up. So, I mean, you look at that, they have a 3-game win streak going into tonight, first win streak of the calendar year, and they had won 4 games going into New Year's Day, the New Year's Day matchup with the Nuggets. So there you have it. I mean, like, that's 7 of 9. That's pretty solid. It's just a matter of keeping. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. That's what I would say. I would agree with that, Lewis. Like, that's just, you know,
That's how it is being a Celtics fan. Your expectations are through the roof and prepare to be disappointed despite there being no real reason to be
it
disappointed.
really isn't. It's
People
the
calling
best
for
part,
Missoula's
man.
head as the teams look down at the rest of the league from the top of the standings, right? And like they're like, "Hey, he sucks. All he does is chew gum." Like, yeah, he's fine. Team's
He's
fine. Is it annoying when they lose? Yeah. Were these last 3 wins perfect? Absolutely not. Jack and I discussed it on the podcast that dropped this morning. If you haven't seen it, check it out when you have a chance. We went into detail in all 3 of their recent wins, Dallas, San Antonio, and then the Bulls on Monday. They have taken their foot off the gas late in the game. I know, Tim, this is something we talked about on here before. I think it was before Monday's game too, but it's been real bad. Even in the Dallas game that they blew them out and they were up the whole time, they still let that lead get down to 12 or 13 in the fourth quarter, much closer than it needed to be. The Spurs game was tied with less than a minute to go. Tatum had to hit a fall away on the baseline to put him up. And then Chicago, they nearly blew a game to Zach LaVine by himself, who I still contend is not very good.
he's a
And
bucket getter. That's what he
well,
is. He's a bucket getter.
he was no better than me and the boys for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden they couldn't stop him.
Turn it on when
So
it matters, man. I respect that run that he made there.
I think he sucks. But I
I
think the
know, I
Celtics
know.
need to
I
be
get it.
better. They need to be better. Even if he's scoring at will like that, they cannot be scared. And I felt like they seemed intimidated, not only in that game, in the Spurs game, even against Dallas, because they will go and they will slow the game down. And this is a trend we've seen and you've talked about. And I think that's less about Missoula and more about the players just trying to not get into a shootout down the stretch. I think they kind of are intimidated by other teams that they can't close games. You kind of saw it in the playoffs last year too. That alarms me. I don't know about you. What do you make of the recent struggles down the stretch?
I think it goes back to, I mean, everyone's hitting on it there, but taking the foot off the gas is a big trend. But I think it ties into the fact that the Celtics have this thing, right? Where they play really, really great basketball and they play a certain style of way. Like, they get to a point where all of a sudden you're up 15, like upper teens, maybe lower 20s in points on a team that you are just clearly like running off the floor. And they do it by playing fast, by getting out and running, by moving the ball. And I don't know how much of this is like tired legs or they literally just don't want to put up an effort. But like, the Spurs game is a really good example of that. The Dallas game is a really good example of that. At least like with Dallas and Chicago, I could say like Luka has burned the Celtics before. So like that definitely has to like weigh on their minds when they're going against him, even if he is having an off night. You know, the Mavs still have some really solid players. For all of the criticisms around their roster building, I still think they've got some really solid pieces there. Not someone that you should sleep on. And then with the Bulls have obviously, we've talked about it a lot, given the top teams in the East a ton of problems. And Levine and DeMar DeRozan were part of that. With DeMar DeRozan leaving that game, I thought that they would have pulled away a lot
Agree.
cleaner. They didn't. And with that Spurs game specifically, all it takes is like 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 minutes tops of fast paced, getting out and running, like smothering defense. And then you just build that lead up, and then it's like, all right, well, that's all you have to do. Like you're already leading the game by slowing the game down, getting into ISO ball, taking contested jumpers that you do not have to take. Like you put yourselves into these positions where look, I get it. Like there's this thing where superstars go out and get you buckets when you need them, right? Like in the playoffs, you turn to your superstars when pressure is mounting and you need someone to score. I get that. But this team just needs to move the ball. You have these shooters. You went out and you added these pieces. That's the way that you win these games. So seeing them kind of just go away from everything that's working for them and almost costing them these games, it's a growing thing. Like they need to grow and learn from it. They might have made the finals last year, but like there's still no doubt that this is a young team. And also with the new coach, like there's a learning curve that they're going through. But just play the right way. It's not hard. You've been doing it most of the year. Just do the same thing you've been doing and just do it a little bit longer in games. That way, when it comes to the last 5-6 minutes of the fourth quarter, you're on the bench resting while your bench guys are out there running the floor. Like it's just not hard. It really isn't.
I know. Making the finals, not very easy. Was not easy. You want me? I'll go through all the times I was disappointed last spring. First round, they were nice and clear. Took care of it in 4 games. Good job. Second round against Milwaukee, you lose game 1. What are you going to do? Win game 2, kind of get screwed in game 3, win game 4, and absolutely piss away game 5, which was maybe the most upset I've ever been at a game. I don't know, because I really felt like it was over after that. And then they win game 6 and game 7. Good on them. Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals, lose game 1, win game 2, lose game 3. That was a big chance, right? Should have been easier to beat Miami then. And then the game 6 loss really killed me because that should have been 48 minutes of them just throwing a party, and they lost. And then, of course, game 4 in the finals, disaster. We don't need me to complain about past.
I don't want to talk about that game 4 because that was the only game that I went to last year.
I forgot you went to that game.
Well, at least you got to go to a finals game.
And at least
it was awesome. It was super cool, but it was definitely a frustrating game where it's like, guys, I get it. Like Steph Curry went supernova. That's one thing where it's a generational shooters. Just he carried the Warriors in that series. He was amazing. There's not much you can do there. That's someone's got to lose that series.
Celtics finished winning 3 straight in Miami. They shouldn't have had to win 3 straight.
Yeah.
It's
impressive. You have whichever
I'm going to harp on
this
this now.
Oh, God. Okay.
I'm going to
cook. Let him cook. All right. Let's hear it.
I get such great enjoyment out of rewatching highlights from like great home games. And there was like none from that playoff run because they were so bad at home. Like that game 6 should have been one of those games where you just go back and rewatch it. And it's like, oh, this rules. So this season, fellas, let's stop screwing around at the Garden. Wear the right jerseys, damn it. They're not doing it tonight. They have the green ones. Disaster. Tell you what, Tim spent a lot of money to go to that finals game. You want to start making your way back out of the hole there, Tim? Pick of the night presented by Smash the Odds at Smash Odds on Twitter. You can get a daily free pick with a follow there. You can pay for the premium picks and win premium winnings if you pay for the service. Larry Nance Jr. over 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That is all 3 stats added up into one. Need to be 16 or higher. My pick, Jayson Tatum, over 3.5 threes, will give you plus money tonight. No crazy picks. I didn't see anything that stuck out to me. If you really want to have a good time, you can throw money on Tatum double-double. That's plus money, only plus 146. Horford double-doubles 480. I don't know if that's enough to put money on it. Nobody else really sticks out. Jaylen Brown double-double, actually. I like that one. Plus 366.
He gets rebounds.
He's
like
been
crazy,
a beast
actually.
on the boards.
Yeah. He's all energy. Like he'll go ahead and like get on those pretty quickly. So that's good. I'm still in the red. Yeah, I mean, it was expensive. I'll say that much.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was worth it. I definitely wouldn't take it back for anything.
You're not in the red with life experience.
Oh, no. Fortunately, it didn't set me back that much. Like I'm recovered now. It's been long enough, thankfully.
And before I move past the sponsors, one more. I'll even read it with the scroller on the bottom. Looking to get yourself tickets to a Celtics game or other event? Head over to
Incredible plug.
SeatGeek and use promo code LaFrance to save $20 on your first purchase. If you do that, fellas get a little kickback. I wish it wasn't my last name, but it is. So LA and then the.
Oh no. Did you freeze? Oh boy. I don't know if you guys can see him or if it's just me freezing.
Nope, it's me.
Okay. Well, at least you're there vocally. That's good.
You know what would be
You're
really
back. You're
great is
back.
if I
You're
could
back.
put this up on the screen.
Put what
the
up on the screen? Oh no. Woof. And I will say this. I generally say I would not want to face them again. What's the best possible path? I'll be honest, I don't think the Sixers or the Bucks scare me all that much. Again, like I think both of those teams, their best players who are obviously going to be Embiid. Harden's great, but like playoffs wise, I'm not moved by that. I think Embiid is their best player by far. I think the Celtics do a great job at defending him, and I think the same thing can be said about Giannis. Knicks obviously are the Knicks, so take that however you want to take it. I'll be honest, I think there's a decent chance that another team is in that spot. I don't know where the Pacers are going to end up. They would not be a team that I would want to face in the first round. I think they would beat them, but they're a team that you can't play down to those kind of guys. You can't. Just because they can go out there, they could steal a couple games, and all of a sudden that first round series is a lot longer than it should have been. I think they got a lot of really, really good players there in Indy, so we'll see what happens there. But Knicks would not move me, but I think that's a pretty reasonable path.
If I had to pick, that's probably what I would go for. I don't want to deal with Miami. That team beat you already this year. I think they're real annoying to play against. Pacers, same reason you said that's a scrappy team. They beat you too. Knicks are bums. Sorry, Andrew.
Oof.
Sixers are still bums to me, man. Embiid doesn't scare me. Harden doesn't scare me. Milwaukee is a team that is scary, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you get the conference finals, you have to play somebody. I'd probably rather play them than Brooklyn because I'd rather lose to them if I had to pick between which team knocks me out. I'd rather lose to Milwaukee. Yeah. I think the Cavs are a real dangerous team, so I would like to avoid them at all costs. Agreed. They already beat you twice in two crazy close games, and Mitchell's been a killer for them. So not the type of player you want to match up in a playoff series against at all. Let's see. Knicks are physical. Knicks play defense. They can beat anybody. If they don't, then anyone can beat them. Tom says Nets are scary. I agree. It's tough. There's a lot of teams this year. Got to tell you, not thrilled. Celtics all of a sudden are going to be the best team. Everybody wants to start building teams. Where were you when LeBron was here playing in the Eastern Conference?
I mean, I will say this. I mean, the Nets obviously have to deal with everything going on with Kevin Durant's injury, so that's something that they have to monitor. I mean, I think the Cavaliers have also faced a lot of injury problems as well. So those are two teams that their health has got to be tantamount. I kind of had a feeling, not that I was like speaking this into existence, but I had a feeling that something was going to come up for the Nets just because they were so good for a stretch there.
Tim
like
had a voodoo doll.
Good. Yeah, just like
he has one of Durant, and he has one of Kyrie.
Yeah, I stabbed the wrong one night, and it just it just wholly botched the thing. I love KD. I mean, I think he's a fantastic player.
I like KD
all-time
too.
Great. Yeah,
probably my favorite player that's never played for the Celtics. Actually,
yeah, actually, he really was. I fell down the rankings a little bit when he went to Golden State, but won me back over by the time he left. But I think the Nets, for all of the scariness that they are, I think they're going to have some problems because they're riding this massive wave, right? I want to see how this team plays with Kevin Durant sidelined for at least like a month. That's a long time to be sidelined for. And it's another knee injury, not the same knee, but still, you're at that point where playing without him, an MVP caliber player, if things start to go south, I think Kyrie is going to start developing an attitude. You're going to see that come out. And I just wonder how Jacques Vaughn's going to handle it. He's doing a fantastic job getting that team to buy in. I
Yep.
just wonder what happens when things start going south. And that's what I thought about the Celtics for a while this year. Like, what's going to happen when things go sideways? How does this team respond? And like that really says more about the unit, how they respond, how they kind of rally, says more about that team and about the coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, in the playoffs, no player I'd really like to avoid more than Ben Simmons. You talk about a playoff performer, you look no further than that man. And speaking of Simmons, Jimmy J saying Atlanta's still in the mix. Remember when Simmons threw that ferocious dunk down over Trae Young? But in all seriousness, going to the Atlanta comment, I'm not convinced they are still in the mix. I think that's a
I'm not
dumpster fire
convinced.
right now.
Yeah,
Trae
that's why
Young
I kind of
has waltzed his way onto the rat list, creating issues with Nate McMillan. Never a big fan of guys stirring things up with a coach. I think McMillan's been good for them ever since he joined. The team has been somewhat successful. They made the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Well, the thing is he was the backup. He was like an assistant coach at that point.
He was interim.
When they fired Lloyd Pierce and then they had him take over and they had a crazy turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Trae Young has not done enough to start
no
ruffling feathers. I don't think. I don't think he's earned that yet. Birkin's saying, is Simmons making the All-Star game? Andrew's saying he's impressed him this season. A lot of All-Star talk. Kyrie not an All-Star via Jimmy J. I mean, Kyrie's going to be there. People like him, and he has the most votes, which, I mean, what are you going to do?
It's fan votes.
Fan votes. They need to get
rid
of
the who's right, vote. It's who's the loudest. And you're frozen again on my end, Sam. I hope you're all right, Sam. I hope you don't crash. We got like 3 minutes. Stay with me. I'm losing them.
I'm back.
Yeah, thank
Asking
God.
a lot. Asking a lot for the Wi-Fi to work. Really am.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I've had some Wi-Fi issues lately when I've been playing like PlayStation and stuff, but I did like a whole like data cache clean and all that. So
I'll tell you what, nothing worse back in the day is we used to have house phones here. And anytime, this is still not turned blue again. I'm not plugged into this router, so it doesn't matter, but this is remarkable. Anytime the phone would ring, the Wi-Fi would cut out. So I truly hate the phone. I hate the phone in general. Don't like talking on the phone. Don't like being on the phone. I hate it. Never like hearing the phone ring. And now I really would hate it because it would knock my Wi-Fi out. I'd be in the middle of a game, middle of an Xbox party, and the phone goes off. The fellas would know what was about to happen. They would hear no, and then I would cut out. What a triumphant day it was when we got rid of those.
On the hate list, is it stop signs, then like the sound of a ringing telephone, and then what's
stop signs might be first. I actually was thinking today about the stop signs.
Oh, Christ.
No place where stop signs belong less than a parking lot, I would say. Not convinced you need stop signs in a parking lot. I think it's understood if you're in a parking lot that you need to be careful. There are people around and that they have the right of way. Other places, it's up for debate. Other places. Parking lot, you don't need a stop sign.
I wanted to throw this up before we ended up wrapping up the show today. I think they traded for Murray so they could have someone who's defensive minded, who could play next to him and try and mask some of his inefficiencies. And by inefficiencies, I mean him being really, really small and incapable of actually defending at like a really good level. Part of that's effort, part of that's also size. And I think that they just did that because DeJounte Murray was available. They literally got him for a really good price. And, I think that makes a lot of sense for them. I think pairing him with another really good guard made a lot of sense. I don't think adding him caused problems. I think Atlanta had issues to begin with. And they're also a tax-paying team. Like, they've got a lot of money locked up. And they continue to try and trade John Collins. And I'm like, you're not using him right. He's a good player. And I feel like he's been, like, scapegoated there to a point where it's just like, all right, like, I guess you got to trade him because you've, like, burned this bridge now, like, 2 or 3 times. I've never seen a player, like, mentioned so much in trade conversations.
I agree.
And, like,
him and Miles
not been
Turner.
moved. It's been like 3 years. Both of those guys. It's like, holy shit, just trade them. Just like trade them. Stop doing this thing every year. It gets so exhausting.
I thought the Murray move was kind of bizarre when it happened. I didn't think it was necessarily going to be bad. I didn't think it was
see
going
it
to be a home
happening to
run.
Atlanta, but like
I mean, I don't think either one of those guys can be at their best if they're having to share ball handling duties.
and that's therein lies the problem for sure.
Yeah, like you better like this is a complete hypothetical. There was no window for this, but like putting a Klay Thompson in there is 10 times better than a Murray because he's just there to catch and shoot. That's all he needs to do. Next to Trae Young, that's what you need. You don't need somebody to put up a triple-double. I'd say those are all things I don't like. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, I have things. They are not necessarily for the show yet. Someday you will get some crazy good stories, or not crazy, but real stories that are fueled by true despise or hate.
Is
whatever.
John Collins sick? I didn't know he was sick.
Is he sick?
I don't know. Saying John, I assume that's who he's talking about. Is that who you're referencing, Andrew?
Yeah, Jimmy J, good point. Herter shooting 50% from the field, 42% from three for the Kings. They traded him for a draft pick.
Oh, man. Don't quote me on that. Now I'm going to need to pull it up.
Oh, the hypothesis
Justin
is that
Holiday, Mo
Jack.
Harkless, and a future first rounder. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. No, he's.
Nope.
I mean, he
Jack
could
is
be
at the
like,
game.
He's at the game. I don't know if he's
fine.
actually sick.
He's good.
That Herter deal was fantastic. I don't know why Atlanta did that deal. I mean, he's playing great. He's having a career year right now in Sacramento. That's a fantastic pickup for them. And he's really, really on the younger side too. So like that's a guy that you've got cost controlled. You've got him under contract at least. I like him a lot. He was a guy that I would have loved on the Celtics. Everyone loves a little bit of red velvet. So very, very good. Anyone who's a natural sharpshooter, I'm just like, yeah, sign me up.
I know. Well, about 5 minutes till tip here. We'll let you guys all go. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow Tim at Tim Shields NBA. You can follow the pod at How About Them C's. Like it on Facebook. It's there too. Subscribe to the YouTube. We are climbing up the ranks for subscribers. We're getting there. And you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. I'll tweet about stuff. That's it for us. Ooh, I'm not ready to end it. That's it for us. Bye.